Welcome to the Local
724 podcast.
in 3, 2, 1. Alex and Jim, welcome to the show. How are you guys?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. Glad to have you guys in. The Stereoshop, like the big fixture of Greensburg. It's pretty awesome.
Right in the middle, man. Can't miss it, you know?
Everybody knows about the Stereoshop. So why don't you guys give me a little history on the Stereoshop?
You want to take this? You want me to take it?
That's fine. Take it.
Go for it.
All right, man. Well, I mean, you know, we've been in the area. You know, we've been in the area since, the 60s, 70s. I can't do math right now. But anyway.
Yeah, 60 years would be the 60s.
Right. So anyway, so it kind of started off as like a small home electronics shop, a car audio place to go, kind of a venue if you were into turntables and receivers back then, and as time progressed, so did the industry. And, we went from being just a hi-fi shop to full-blown home custom installation. And, we do all kinds of crazy stuff, TVs with mirrors with touchscreens. I'm sorry. Big TVs, cutting edge TVs that roll out of a freaking box. So I mean, it's starting to get to that point. Home automation's a big thing right now. You can go anywhere else. You can get things that happen, but there's no way to connect them all together. So we take those individual components and we connect it all together through a couple different platforms, depending on what people are comfortable with using and budget and things like that. So between all of that, we still do car audio. It's a separate piece of the puzzle at that point. But it's just one of them things where it's just, it's always growing, always changing, and it's just moving right along, and we're ready to take it on, man.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, I remember, so the Stereoshop, I remember like when I was little, when I was growing up, was it the shop that was out in Latrobe?
Different store.
What was that?
That was Soundtown.
Soundtown?
Yes, sir. And
I thought Soundtown had turned into you guys at some point. That's how
in a way.
Okay.
Not from a business sense, but from we actually have one of the former owners working with us.
Oh, cool.
He's one of our sales guys.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
We were originally Lafayette Radio that used to be on Otterman Street.
Oh, okay.
So
very cool. So you guys, I mean, technically you've always been in Greensburg. Mm-hmm. Very neat. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, like, whenever I had done my research and I was like, man, you guys have been around since the 60s. And I was thinking to myself, like, what in the fuck were you doing in the 60s? Like, what kind of, like, stuff was going on in the 60s that you were doing? So, like, car audio and stuff like that. But, I mean, how times have changed.
it was a vinyl store at one point. It was heavy into turntables and 2-channel.
Oh, yeah?
So that's kind of how the company got started, was being more of kind of a CD place you would go in the mall for us, that you would go to today. That's just speakers and 2-channel audio. That's really all it was. And it's evolved from that.
So with you guys, you're not very old gentlemen. So, but I mean, like, the history of it. So, I mean, knowing the history of what you guys used to deal in and now, like the technology, like how mind-blowing is this?
It's absolutely wild, and going from that legacy, and it's kind of making its way back around. If you've noticed, there's a statistic out there where it's more vinyl in 2019 was sold in CDs.
Yeah.
Who the hell would have thought that was going to happen at that point? So, we saw that trend coming, and we just kind of started getting back into the turntables and the true 2-channel hi-fi audio. And there's a couple companies out there we deal with. They make speakers that are $2,000 for a really nice set to $230,000. It's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
And that's before like an amp or anything. That's just the speakers. They're like 6'5", like 300 or 600 pounds a piece. Like absolutely ridiculous speakers, but they are the voice of God, I've been told. And they better be for that money, but
$250,000. Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, so I mean, for the audiophile, they, for some reason, we kind of gotten overlooked a little bit in the test of time, with the big box stores and everything like that, just kind of making their their empire. And it's just one of those things where you just can't forget about the small guys, because 95% of the time they do it better.
Yeah.
Because we actually, rather than, being a place where you go to buy a computer and a TV and whatever else, we really do have that funnel down to being that expert service that we're known for. People come to us with every problem, which is a good thing in some cases. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? But, so we just try to, just keep it local, keep it friendly, and keep it, chugging along, man. It's exciting, but.
Yeah, I mean, like, you have to wonder. I mean, you've got those big stores, you got Best Buy down the road and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it blows my mind to think, like, not in a rude way, but like, how the fuck are you guys still open? You know what I mean? It's like, it's really because like nobody goes to like a local grocery store.
Yeah.
They go to fucking Walmart.
Right. Or Giant Eagle. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like everybody seems to think that like bigger is better, all of that stuff. And it's like, I don't see that. Like, when I go get my hair cut, I go to like a nice small shop. I know the guy, he cuts my hair the same way every fucking time. And it's great. It's awesome. I like having my people. I like having my connections, my like, hey, I know a guy. Boom. And we go and do that.
So I can elaborate on that. And what has kept us around is the majority of my customers or our customers, I'm on a first name basis with. I mean, I know more of their personal information just helping them log into accounts than they probably know about themselves.
Hell yeah.
I had a customer call me the other day asking me for his iTunes password. Really? You're calling me?
Right? There you go, man. I mean, that's awesome.
So, I mean, we stick around for, we don't have a ton of turnover. You go, wherever you go, Best Buy or any other store like that, every time you go there, it's a different person greeting you.
Yeah.
Whereas when people come to our store, they're getting the same person greeting them. And that's really, it's just that's our biggest attribute, in all honesty.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, just like to have that, like, people experience and things like that. I mean, when you do walk into a big store like that, I don't think that you notice the people that are working. You just immediately assume that it's like this giant machine that just like operates on its own and stuff like that.
Skynet.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's this weird thing that like you walk into a place like that and it's just like the whole idea of like, people being people to each other and people being friendly with each other it's out the door. You really don't even think about that.
And really, until you start really thinking about it, like after the fact that you walk in there, you're like, I didn't realize how poorly those fucking people treated me, but like, so fun fact, we both kind of got our start in a Best Buy. I was there 3 years ago, and I wanted to work at the Stereoshop more than anything at that point in my life, because I was like, I don't know, man. There's just something about that place.
Yeah.
And, and I've been with the company overall about 9 months now. But 7 years of industry experience, has taught me like everything I know. So it's kind of wild to think about that. But, so taking all those personal interactions that I had at, with Best Buy and all the customers there, they expected that from me, but the company didn't. I expected that for myself because I treated people like humans,
Right, yeah.
And it was one of those things where it's like, hey, your productivity numbers are low. It's like, because you're spending an hour and a half with somebody. It's like, well, because they needed an hour and a half of my time,
Yeah.
and I got reprimanded for it. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. So then I left, in a couple different places, got some different experience in, and ultimately found my way home,
That's
and,
awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude, good for you, because like, I mean, I think that, people take like personal interaction for granted and stuff. I mean, like there was times I worked at Lowe's once for a very brief time of my like teens. And, they literally told us, hey, when somebody asks you something, you take them to the area, where like, where's doors? I don't know, you take them to the fucking doors.
Yeah.
Today I was at Home Depot and I'm like, hey, can you show me where like the doors?
They point and guess at an hour number.
Yep, they point and they're like, yeah, between 13 and 15. It's in there somewhere. And they turn around and just walk away. I mean, that is literally it. There's no like, and that's what I mean. Like you just kind of, you end up going into those places and you're like, well, you know, I'm literally going to walk around with like 500 people around me and not say a fucking word to anyone.
Right.
Am I the only human being that goes into a place like that? And I almost stare at the flool the whole time. I don't want to make eye contact.
Right,
I want them to leave me alone so I can get in.
Me.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like this real nice dude that worked there. He was like an older guy. And, you know, I was just sitting there looking at the like washers and dryers and stuff. And he came over and didn't even like try to sell me. He was just like, yeah, time to, those things go, you know, every once in a while. And like just having like a normal conversation. And I was like, I was so shocked to have that normal conversation.
Yeah.
But take me out of that environment and that's normal. That's what people do. But in that environment, it was like, whoa, what the fuck's this guy saying to me? It was just weird. It was like, this guy's human. Like he's not a robot.
Right. And, you know, and I spent a brief period of time working in the Walmart electronics section out of pure desperation. And it was crazy because people would ask me where something was. I would literally walk them over and explain to them what they're about to buy. And they looked at me like astounded every time.
Yeah.
Like, no one's ever like in a Walmart, like what the, so, I mean, it's just, yeah. And when I go to Walmart now, I don't even talk to anybody. I look down, I have a headphone in or two headphones in, and I go on the Walmart app. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I just type it in, shows you the aisle number. I'm like, sweet, awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's weird. It's kind of sad how things have gone that way. But I mean, it's also very awesome because now, like you said earlier, everything's kind of coming back around. Everybody, you know, the big box stores were like new and exciting and like flashy and everything was like great. But then it was like everybody was missing that like personal interaction, I think. Right. And now that's why these like smaller businesses are coming back in like full force.
Well, that, and they, you know, and you see the impact they have on the economy as well. I mean, and especially the local economy. You know, so, you know, money that we can contribute back to the Greensburg area is money well spent to us because that's where we got our start and that's where we live, you know. You know, so we try to market it as, you know, technology with a human touch, you know, because literally the stuff that we do is 100% custom, like 90% of it. You know, even like if we program you a smart home system, you know, everything, I can take a picture of your kitchen and put that as the wallpaper after I Photoshop the hell out of it to make it look like, you know, not your kitchen. And, you know, or, you know, if it was me during my childhood, it'd be no, I'm kidding. I'm not going to go there. No, me crying on the floor. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, so like everything that we do can be personalized to where, you know, your first name is there or whatever else. You know, it's not just like something that you buy at Best Buy and set up on your own. Like we do it for you and we optimize it for how you want it to work, you know, rather than you having to sit there and get pissed off because it didn't come with an instruction manual because it's all online. Right. You know, so it's just one of those things.
That's awesome. I do have an experience with you guys, and this was like a few years ago. I was trying to fix some video lights that I had that was just like collecting dust. And what had happened was the fuses that they sold were like, I don't know what was with them. Every time I bought new ones, I would turn it on and the light would blow. And I was like, man, this sucks. So I was going through a lot of money in bulbs because those aren't cheap at all.
Right.
So I brought one of the lights into you guys, and I don't remember who I worked with. There was a gentleman at the desk, and we went through every fuse that you guys had at that place. Yeah. And we just went through and like talked about like what we could do to get around that. If that was like, you know, taking a piece of wire and putting in a different fuse and things like that. I was just like blown away. Yeah. And I literally at one point said like, yo, I'm sorry I'm taking up so much of your time. And it was all good. Like everything was fine. There was another guy that came over and he was like looking at it and like coming up with some ideas. And it was just like, that was what I needed to do because I mean, I went everywhere looking for those fuses and you guys had them and the lights work. And I ended up selling the lights because I just didn't want to deal with them anymore.
Profit.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, you know, with technology comes LED. So those are nice.
The one misconception on LED is they do burn out. A lot of people don't think that.
Yeah.
They think they last forever, but they absolutely have a shelf life. So it's just much longer than your typical bulb that you would buy.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot cooler too. So like if we were in this room, like a lot of the places, I have a video production company. So typically we're trapped in a room like this size with like 5 people, and then you kick on tungsten lights and everybody's just melting by the end of the day. The LEDs keep everything nice and cool. So yeah, that was a nice jump. But it's as far as technology and stuff, like what are some of the craziest things that you guys seen like come to like your shop?
I don't. So as in products that we carry, or
it could be anything. I mean, like we were talking about like the refrigerators with the screens and stuff now, or like they have like 8K televisions and shit, and like all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think the craziest thing that I've personally played with in the past couple of weeks is that mirror.
The mirror.
Yeah, so it's by a company named Electric Mirror. Sponsor us, not kidding. But
and the podcast.
But no, I mean, it's literally I think it's a 24 by 36 mirror with dual LEDs on the side of it that are like pointed at your face. Mm-hmm. So you have a nice lighting pointed at you. And within the mirror, there's actually an Android-based touchscreen. So I can watch Netflix, or I can download your home automation app, log in as you, and control your entire house from your freaking bathroom if I wanted to.
That's nuts.
Right?
Like that's the shit I'm talking about. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I went to a hotel room down in Orlando. I was at a hotel, and in every room they had these smart mirrors and stuff. And I don't know what brand it was, but it was nuts because like I would turn on the light and it would sense that I was in there, and then it would like pop on whatever channel was the hotel's like default channel or whatever. Right. And it was like the local news. And I'm just like watching the local news, like brushing my teeth, and I'm like looking up, and I'm like, it was so wild. Crazy. And you could just like, I mean, I don't know that I would connect all of my personal shit to a hotel smart mirror, but
the one in your house would be much more.
The one in the house is all good, but so I didn't get to mess around with it too much, but it looked just so, dude, this is like the future shit. Yeah. This is like the year 3000 shit. Yeah. It's nuts.
And it's here now, man. And it's not in big box, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I kind of like look at you guys as like, the guys behind the scenes. You guys like know all this shit. Yeah, that we don't know yet,
and honestly, I'm going to quote one of my biggest influences, Steve Jobs. He said at one point, the technology's just the orchestra at that point. It's the instruments. We're the conductors of it, man. Like that's what we're doing. We're behind the scenes, but we're also in the forefront of it all. Right. It's a weird paradox, but it's cool to be there. And the craziest part about these mirrors too is the fact that you can. With it being Android based, the APKs, if you have a layered system deployment team of people, you basically just flash it all and go in there, and then you can have like a personalized to the hotel or to your house. If you do app development, you can have a great time with that mirror, I'm gonna tell you.
Dude, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
I think for me, I've seen pretty much everything our industry can do. But one of my favorite things to provide to a client is, and everyone's used to pressing a button to make something happen, as in I pick up my remote, I press that stupid red all power button at the top, your TV turns on, your cable box turns off, you call Comcast, and you get through this loop, and then you eventually just, throw the remote down and say, screw it, I'm not watching TV tonight. But for me, my favorite part of our industry is the smart home side of it. Not only voice control and being able to walk in and just create massive scenes where your home does things for you, but it's the hidden aspect of it that people don't even realize we can do, and that's making your house react to you. So certain scenarios, if you had a smart door lock and you came home and unlocked it, it's pin-based, so you would have your own pin, he would have his own pin, I would have my own. Whenever you unlock it, the house knows that, and we can now make the house do things that you want it to do. When your wife or girlfriend comes home or your kid comes home, she doesn't want the TV on, but she'd like the lights on in the bathroom and the walkway. They're on for. The house knows. So it's reacting back to your input versus you having to press every button to make every little thing happen.
And the crazy
my
part,
mind's like fucking blown right now. This is like the future is now.
I mean, so having a house, that lives and breathes with you at that point, is kind of, it's kind of the way that, over the years, that's kind of like the thing that has, it's one of those cliche things like, oh, the house should live with you or something like that.
Right, yeah.
And the fact that we can make it do that, down to each individual person, and then you get notifications when your kids come home, or when they do something they shouldn't do, like turn the TV on 5 seconds after they walk into the door rather than doing their homework. Sorry, kids, we're going to rat you out to your parents, but like, oh, well, it's just one of those things where it's a comfort, it's a convenience, and it's technology is not as scary as people think it is. And that's something that we have to tell people and try to have them work through. It's like, hey, it's yours. Like we're not going to try to be like, oh yeah, this is intimidating. No, this is actually going to make your life better.
Yeah.
And a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're living under a rock if you haven't seen like the commercials where, dude's in his car and he's just like, hey, pause my podcast. And he's like, turn the lights up to this level, turn the temperature to this level, blah, blah, blah. So when his wife walks in the house, she's all like, ooh, like, dude's taking care of me. It's just like, that to me, like, I saw that and I was just like, whoa, they must live in some like ultra modern house. Right. Like to be able to do that. Are these things available for like any house? Like, could you do these things with pretty much any house if you had the budget to buy the
there's
devices?
many ways to go at it. I mean, from the simple DIY stuff that you can start with at Lowe's to the extreme, the far extreme, but
$250,000 speakers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what he didn't tell you is you need a $270,000 amp per speaker to run that speaker, but neither here nor there. And you still need a nice turntable to put right along into those. But to answer the original question, sure, anyone can get started on it. I mean, there's really only 4 voice people out there that everyone knows of. You can start with a Dot that you buy from off of Amazon. It's $29 to get you started. Yeah. What you want to control with it then is up to you. But I mean, you have Alexa, you have Google Home, you have Siri, which everyone knows in Android.
With Apple's HomeKit integration as well.
Yep. So I mean, you can go buy an Apple TV, and that can be the next step of your smart home. And then for the people who want the more sophisticated voice control, you could look at something like Josh AI.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Like, I know that, my buddy, he's got like the thermostat, and I think he's got like the door lock situation. Okay. Where he can like unlock his phone or unlock his door, like with his phone or something like that. If somebody stopped over and needs to drop something off. I think he's got a Ring doorbell, things like that. Yeah. So it's just like all these like things, just are like, it's so like mind blowing, but like to integrate all of that into your daily life I think would just be awesome. Like I love tech. It's just like the greatest thing ever. I see a toy and I'm like, well, I need that. And it's like, all right, so I save up for, a couple months and then I fucking blow it all on that. Yeah. But, it's just, I think it's just so neat what technology is doing, for all of this. So like with a generation that maybe isn't as in touch with the tech, like, maybe intimidated by it, do you guys go out and like do all the installs and things like that? You guys have techs that go out and do that stuff?
Yeah, so we are full service. We take each customer start to finish. Whether they're buying, a TV, a turntable, a sound bar, whatever else. If they say, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing," we say, "Okay, cool, we can come out and help." And most people were pretty adamant about it, and are like, "Okay, yes, swing on by," and we leave, and if we don't hear back from them, then, assuming everything's good, we'll follow up and say, hey, how's everything going? They're like, it's wonderful, and a lot of the people that we do deal with think very highly of us.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you worked, Alex? How long have you worked for the Stereoshop now?
I've been there since June of last year.
Nice.
So, yeah, I started off as a sales guy, and one thing led to another. Now I'm doing the marketing and business development, all kinds of fun stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
it's really cool.
Yeah, it's put me in a spot where I'm happy,
Good, man. I mean, progression inside of a business that you like and a job that you love. So, I mean, you can't beat that.
No,
I mean,
man.
that's fantastic.
That's the bread and butter, man.
I told Alex when he was hired, I said, no one's ever hired for the job they're going to have here. You get hired and then you find your happy spot, and that's where you tend to end up with us.
Yeah.
Job descriptions are pretty loose, huh?
Well, it's just the way it goes in small
Yeah,
business.
nah, dude,
95%
that's
of the
good.
time.
Everybody has to do everything.
That's right. Absolutely. Jim, how long have you been a part of the Stereoshop?
I think 16 years next month.
Whoa.
I did take a 9-month snowbird trip to Naples in the middle there, but
Nice.
yeah, I've done every position there. So I started out just like Alex's sales. I wanted to do the install. I wanted to be in the homes. I wanted to be interacting with it. I did that for 8 or 9 years, took my break, came back, and since I've been back, I've been more or less running the installation department, and it's progressing from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, you weren't joking around when you said you get there and you don't fucking leave. That's really awesome.
Or if you do leave, you end up coming back 3 times. So.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like, I feel like it's probably one of those things like, you know, I'm in video and stuff. So there's not many places around Greensburg, you know, that were hiring for video. And I did find like 1 or 2 places, and I was like, oh my God, I can actually go to work, you know, like only 5 minutes down the road. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And, you know, that didn't last terribly long for me. But, I mean, it's really awesome that you guys are based here. This is what you guys want to do. And I mean, the Stereoshop, that's the place. I mean, that's the place. Like, you know, it's like the small business of a giant, huge, service, I guess is what you want to call it. It's, you know, gigantic. I mean, you guys are obviously well known all throughout the area and things like that. How far out do you guys service?
We got about an hour and a half each way. I mean, I don't know. You could probably test that a little more there, Jim.
I've done work in 7 states for the Stereoshop.
Holy shit.
Manhattan, New York, to Chesapeake Bay, to Columbus, all through. You got to take Morgantown kind of right across the border. It's a college town that we do a good bit in. So there's West Virginia. But yeah, our typical radius is about 45 miles. So north of Pittsburgh to Somerset area. Don't go towards Uniontown a whole lot, but we do have some select customers out that direction.
Wow. That's pretty wild. I mean, like, what did you have to do in New York? Just wondered.
One of our clients she was bored, so her husband bought her a 7th floor penthouse, basically, that she remodeled and for the intentions of renting out. So when we finished up, I can't remember what movie he was filming, but who played the gladiator actor?
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix.
No.
Oh, the Gladiator?
Yeah, who played the gladiator? Why can't
I got the dude's face right in my mind.
Shit.
He was also like the smartest mind guy.
Everybody's
or
going to
whatever.
make fun of us, yes, now that we can't get this right. Either way, he was moving in for his next movie, so he was renting it out, so we had a very tight time frame to get it in. But the project was simple. It was 4 or 5 rooms of audio, a couple TVs. Probably the coolest thing we did is they weren't allowed to put a window that overlooked the park. So we ended up mounting a TV right there, and then we hung out the side of the building and mounted a camera off of the side of the building that was looking down at the park. So kind of created that element of having a window there.
That is awesome. That's so cool.
That's wicked. Yeah. I see, and I'm learning things that we've done as well, you know, in some cases.
Well, the fun part of that was I was sitting on the floor holding one person's legs like this, and the other one was, there was 3 of us to get that camera mounted. It was
like,
a
hey,
good time.
remember that time you pissed me off? Go Yakuza on you. And I'm still hung up on the Gladiator guy. Was it Gerard Butler?
Yes.
Okay, oh man, I was gonna be really pissed off myself if I didn't.
It wasn't.
Dig through the archives.
Cool 35.
It wasn't him.
No.
It was another dude.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Oh
yeah,
shit!
yeah,
There we go.
I was sitting there. I kept seeing this dude's face.
Okay, now I kind of dot in my head for a different thing that I don't want to say. So,
I heard rumors that his rent was $35,000 a month for that apartment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, there were guys that I used to listen to on the radio. They were like, you know, shock jocks, like Opie and Anthony.
Yeah.
Those dudes, like some of the stuff that they would like divulge on air and stuff. Like the one dude like said his rent was like 15 grand a month. And it was like, that's insane, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, at that point of my life, I was like working in a t-shirt shop, like screen printing t-shirts.
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
like, I think I probably make 15 grand a year.
Not to derail this interview, but what shop?
It was XL Sportswear in Trafford.
Okay.
It was a cool place. I really like kind of fell in love with just the whole idea of like
Graphics
and like
Yeah.
making something that like, you could just do. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I took a Photoshop class in high school, and this is what I do for work now. I Photoshop things and I design things, and I kind of like the fact that Jim's given me an opportunity to divulge my technical and my business and my creative talents and all in one place, so I do get stretched
Yeah.
a good bit, but
Dude, that makes you feel good though.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
It does.
in a company that I used to work in, I worked for American Eagle, a big company. I was the video director there. And
Okay.
it was, one of the girls that I had worked with, she was hired to kind of be the producer on set. So she would like, very technical. She would keep time and take notes, like what was our good takes, what was our bad takes and all that. But she was ultra creative. Like this girl was like very good at graphic design. She could illustrate like crazy. And her name's Rachel Beck. Shout out to Rachel Beck. But she finally got the opportunity. They said like, oh, hey, we need some like invites made for this event. Do you want to hand draw those? And she was like, oh my God, yeah. And then that really gave her I think like the motivation to really she appreciated her job a lot more,
Right.
And it was awesome. I think, so you being able to do all the creative things that you like is, that's awesome. That's a really cool thing to hear.
Yeah, it keeps me bashing my head off the table, and also from bashing my head off the table some days, so it's just one of those things where, when you start getting too technical, you start getting a little bit bored because, you're like, this isn't fun anymore,
Right,
and
yeah.
then you're like, I'm going to do something fun for a little bit, and then you make a graphic, for an hour and a half, and you feel pretty good about it because then you're like, hey, that looks pretty good. Hey, Jim, what do you think about this? That looks good. All right, good enough. We'll do something with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty sweet. So you guys are kind of doing all of like in-house. So you guys are doing like your social media and all that stuff, and you're taking care of that stuff.
I am, yeah.
That's awesome.
And
Good for you,
sales.
man. Yeah.
And just anything that he throws at me, basically, I try to just make myself as expendable as possible. And, the social media stuff, that's the way it's starting to go. Why do we have to advertise on a phone book anymore?
Right on.
It's 2020. Like, so whenever I took the position over, I just kind of sat there and did an analysis of where everything was at. And I said, okay, half of the stuff is old fashioned and ineffective. We can put our money and our creative efforts into something that's going to be more, relevant.
Yeah.
And so far it's actually gained some pretty good momentum, especially even Instagram, like Instagram is like a huge business tool at this point, that's how we found each other.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people have been finding us as well. Like whenever I started doing this a couple months ago, our Instagram count was like at like 60, and in the couple short months that I've been doing it, we've gotten a little bit over 100 followers, I believe, which is small relatively, but I mean, it's just one of those things to where there's growth.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the huge thing, growth there. Facebook, we got about 1,500 followers, so there's a little bit of growth there going on, websites getting, overhauled constantly. And just because, much like the business that we do, it's all dynamic. It's all got to change every time that we can, just to keep our relevancy and keep people's attention. We want to break ground because that's what people do when they come to us when they break ground. So why can't we break ground?
Yeah. I mean, just like advertising as a whole, I think has changed a lot in, just a few years even.
Yeah.
I mean, like everyone always thought it was like such a great idea to make a TV commercial. And now it's like,
Who doesn't skip commercials at this
dude,
point?
right? I mean, I personally have not made a TV commercial for somebody in probably 6 years. I
Yeah.
mean, at least 6 years. And it's just been like, it's nuts. Like people don't even ask about that. I don't even
Right.
tell people that that's a possibility anymore. It's
Yeah.
all web based.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one client that was like, hey, we might throw those out the TV. And I was just like, all right, cool. So hook me up with your rep and then, let me know what their exporting procedure is or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And they were just like, wait, we have to have a rep? And I'm like, oh, man, I mean, you guys got to buy airtime. You have to and with the internet, I mean, it can be 42 seconds if you want it to be.
Yeah.
It could be 7 seconds if you want it to be.
It could be
TV's like
if you want it to be
15, 30, 60. And it's just like, come on.
Right. And it's super expensive to do it anymore.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, like, why would I want to throw money at that whenever I can put, a couple of bucks into sponsoring a Facebook post or sponsoring, Google posting or something like that, whatever it may be, at that point, SEO is the way things are going. You want to be the top of the listing. Well, not top, because that means that you paid more for it. I never click on the first links. I'm like, yep, they paid for it. But you want to be relevant and you want to constantly have that organic content just flying through at that point, to get the better numbers and have Google favor you more at that point.
Yeah.
I
mean, like, even as far as advertising on things like, you can do radio spots on Pandora.
Yeah.
Things like that. Or TV commercials local to your area on like Hulu and things. Yep. And it's just like, for a real hot second, I was like, ooh, that's a good idea.
Right.
And then I was just like, I don't know. It's still not like, I think even, with Hulu, I know what I do when those commercials come on. That's when I set everything down. I run into the kitchen. I let the dog out. I grab whatever I have to do. Grab a beer, do something, come back, and then, my 3 ads are over, and boom, back to the show.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And with the Pandora thing, I mean, yeah, you're going to run into people, but then you have to, try to funnel all your information into a group of people. You know what I mean? And it's just like, if you're trying to get in the good graces or get the attention of local people, then, that's where, on this show, that's what I was sitting there thinking. And I'm just like, I mean, eventually I'm going to have to start making some money from this thing.
Right.
And I was like, so do some ad work at the beginning, offer that out to businesses. And that's the thing. I mean, the only people listening to this show are local people. That's the exact audience that, people in that position want.
Right.
So, advertising has just gone such a crazy way. Technology has, I mean, you guys know that. And that's just the craziest thing to me that how do you guys even keep up with what is new all the time?
Vodka?
Jameson?
That's the best answer I can give you.
Drunkenly scrolling through Facebook, seeing what's new and exciting.
There's two kinds of people in this world, I believe. People who refuse to do something out of fear of not being able to fix it, or people who just don't care and break it, and if they do, they figure out how to fix it. So
there you go.
And that line is probably drawn by a generational gap. Just because, our age and younger have grown up with it every day, where they didn't start seeing that stuff till later in their lives. So they're our bread and butter. That's what keeps us here. So they need us.
Yeah. Just kind of got them through the muddy waters, man. You just got to clear it up for them and just drag them through.
Yeah. I mean, that's just I know when I talk to my mom, and my mom's she's pretty young. I mean, she's 50, I don't know, 50 something, 52, 53. And I was just she would ask me the silliest questions. Yeah. And it was is Google on Comcast? And I'm how do I get to my Comcast internet? The Google stuff it's not working out. I want to use my Comcast internet. And I'm nope, it's all the same internet. I was different search engines are propelling your results and things. I said, but what about Comcast here is really floating your boat? And she just it was tough to explain that to her. And then our kids are sitting there telling me about fucking V-Bucks, and I'm oh, what? I'm what the fuck is a V-Buck? I'm get upstairs and do your fucking homework.
Right.
And it's just I don't, I sat there and made fun of my mom because she didn't know what the hell the internet was.
Yeah.
And my grandma, dude, my grandma asked me what I did for a living, and I said, like, I make videos. And she was like, oh, cool.
So how you gonna make money off of that?
Yeah, it was just like, so where do you put them? And I'm like, on the internet. And she was like, why do people get on there and watch them? And I'm like, well, people have websites, and like, you have hot leads. Like, people are coming to you. You got a captive audience.
Yeah.
People are coming to your website. That's where they're going to see your advertisement, your video that I make.
Right.
And she's just like, cool. Okay. Well, that's neat.
I'll never watch them. I love you, Jordan, but I'm never gonna watch them. Like,
Right,
like,
yeah.
Okay, think back when the radio was a thing. That's kind of what I'm doing, but on a internet spectrum.
Right.
At that
Yeah.
point,
It's so crazy to like, just go through those time periods where my grandma doesn't even know what the internet is, to my mom trying to figure it out, to me thinking that I know it all, and then my kids turning around and saying like, dude, you don't know shit.
I get a phone call about every 3 to 4 months from my father asking me what his Wi-Fi password is. Dad, it's your phone number.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Dude, that's a great one. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's so cool to me that people like in that generation depend on you guys to have that information for them. I mean, that's like, it's mind blowing to me, but at the same time, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Like at my parents' house, I know exactly what their password is. I know it. My mom probably doesn't know it. My dad knows it. It's named after one of his favorite baseball players. So it's just like, he knows it. I know it. And like at any point in time, they could just be like, hey, what's the pet? And boom, I know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so my mom, she's 58, 59, somewhere in that ballpark, and she is an HR manager, and she had no idea what she was doing at first, but then she learned it, and she learned how to use Excel through it. So I told her, I said, now that you know how to use Excel, I said, I want all of your passwords for everything on an Excel spreadsheet. And she's like, okay. So that was something that like it was kind of like a crossover thing, where it was like, okay, yeah, this is where I want you to have all your stuff. That way you don't have to ask me 45 times, what your passwords are. Or she's actually got to the point now where she has Google Chrome because she has Android, uses, it saves all of them at that point. And I use the same thing for my work. Like, I don't know any of my passwords for work. I make one day, like one variation of it, and I just let Google save it. I'm like, all right, I'm putting my faith in you, Google, at this point.
I started doing that too. Like whenever it like came to the like, do you want us to remember this password? I was like, yeah, sure. And then it like started doing this weird thing lately where it was like giving me this like,
oh yes,
password
the
like this
password, yeah.
And it was like, do you want like a super secure password? And I'm like, well, if you're gonna remember it, go ahead. If that thing doesn't remember it, I'm fucked because I remember like a bunch of like X's and numbers and dashes, and I was like, all right, cool. You've got this.
That looks secure to me, man. All you
right?
Know? And I for a while didn't use iCloud keychain because I remember when I worked at Best Buy, so I was like, never use that. It's a pain in the ass. And I'm like, okay, so I was like, I'm gonna go against the fucking grain one of these days. So I ended up using it, and now I have the newer one, so my face just unlocks everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, face. You've got it. One thing that you can do good for this world, you got it. But
I'll vouch for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, but
yeah, man. It's just like, the amount of things that, like you said, like your face unlocks your phone. I mean, it's just like, it really is insane to me. Like I logged into my bank account today and my face unlocks that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's so easy. And I don't have to remember passwords. I mean, I had the same password from when I was like 16 until, my early 30s. And I was just like, if somebody finds out what this password is, like my whole life is just gone, man. Like, yeah, they can get into anything, like anything. Yeah. All of my email accounts, same password. All of like everything, same password.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, I can make one that's like a little different or a variation, on a theme, and then just my face.
Yep,
there it is.
That's it. That's all it's gonna do from there, Yeah. But yeah, no. So with that, to try to circumvent that issue in our business, we have this paper we give out to people. It's like, hey, before we come out to your house to do anything, write down your Wi-Fi password, your Hulu login, your Netflix login, you know, and we got away from it for a little bit, but we're trying to bring it back around as much as we can.
I honestly think my favorite is, hey, I bought something that requires an app on my phone. I'll come set it up. Okay, let's download the app. I don't know. My kids set that up for me. I don't know how to get into the app store to download
Where's
it.
the app store? It literally says App Store right there. Well, I don't know how to use this fucking phone. Like,
Yeah, dude, and it's tough, man. I mean, like, you know, I sit there and every once in a while, like, I'll remind my mom that she said that, and I'll bust her chops and stuff. But you know, it's just like, it's wild. It's things that, you know, if somebody were to sit there and say like I'm a camera guy,
Yeah.
they would just hand me like some crazy, like, you know, 8K like RE Alexa or some shit like that, and be like, here, take this, show me how to work it. I'd be like, I'm a bit overwhelmed.
I ain't the one,
Like,
bro. Like, not me.
right?
You know.
Hold on, please. I'm going to go to YouTube real quick. But like, I mean, I would be overwhelmed. And, you know, if you're not, I guess, so technologically savvy, that you would know to go to YouTube and maybe check some things out, then you're looking for that personal interaction. And,
Right.
you know, it's all full circle at that point.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are helping out people that know it all and don't know any of it. So,
Yeah. No, that is true. You know, but I mean, going back into some of the product too, you know, like 8K, you know, it's ahead of its time. You know, being 100% honest with you, you know, 4K is great. 8K, it's just not there yet. You know, there's nothing being produced in it yet, so it's kind of hard to sell the resolution and everything like that. You know,
Yeah.
That's an easy sell. Just tell them that 32K is already on the marketplace. You can buy it right now today. It's just not going to be in a mainstream store. It's going to be your projectors in your higher end theaters throughout your larger cities.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that it's nuts. Like, do you guys go out to like the trade shows and stuff like that? Do you go out to, I forget what the video one's called.
So it kind of circles back to your question earlier that I don't know if I or Alex really answered, was how do we keep up? Is we do a lot of training. We do travel a lot, and a lot of our manufacturers also travel around doing short 1-day trainings, but some of our products take, one of my trainings was 6 days, 10-hour days. So just to learn how to implement it and be able to install it in someone's home.
That's a big training. That's intense. What was the product for? Or what was the product?
It was an automation company called Crestron. So they're kind of the cream of the crop as far as it comes to universal remotes and integrating your house.
That's awesome. That's pretty crazy. I mean, like, there's some like video conferences and stuff like out in like Vegas and things, and the name of it's slipping. I can't remember it, but that's kind of where they release all this information, and it's just like, you know, you wander over to like the Sony booth, and it's like, oh yeah, we have a camera here that's like as big as your phone and shoots in 8K.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
It's like,
What the fuck are you talking about?
yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the craziest thing ever. I mean, you go and, you know, being like myself, just a small business owner, like video guy, I'm like working to like upgrade my stuff to 4K.
Right.
And it's just like, boom, we're going to drop 8K
you'll never
on
catch
you.
up.
Yeah,
Yep.
you never catch up. And you know what? I learned that back when we got our first, what the hell was it? Like a Dell computer or something, or Gateway. Back in, you know,
It was
back in
outdated
the day.
the moment you unboxed it.
That's exactly what the salesman told us. We walked out of the store and he goes, that thing is outdated the second you walked out of this store. And I was like, really?
That
My dad
card
was like, well, what the hell are you
appreciated.
talking about? Yeah, my dad didn't take too kindly to his little joke, but he was just like, my dad was like, what are you talking about? I'm bringing this thing back right now.
I just spent this much money on it, man. What the fuck?
Right.
You know?
Dude, and yeah, I mean, like, that was a big deal, like, in our house. I mean, we got that Gateway computer. Dude, I know that it was, like, in the thousands of dollars. I mean,
Yeah.
that's stupid.
Yeah.
You paid, like, $1,200 for that computer.
Yeah, and now you can get a $300 laptop. People are still bitching about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy. You know, the Chromebooks and stuff, I mean, that's one thing, but, you know, you go and get, like, a laptop, you can find something for, like, $300. We just got one for one of the kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, the specs on it are pretty decent for
For what
you know,
they want
what
to do
he's
with it.
going to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So
Minecraft.
right, yeah, get his V-Bucks or whatever the fuck that is.
But yeah, no, I had a train of thought going there and it's gone. It'll come back. Give it a minute.
Yeah, it tends to happen. Tends to happen when you got a microphone in front of your face. But I mean, as far as like what you guys are seeing with the new businesses in Greensburg and things, like, are you guys excited for that? Is it like this whole resurgence coming into Greensburg? Because I think that's going to benefit everybody, old businesses, you know, your more established businesses, and these new, you know, startups.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Being that I frequent a lot of places in downtown Greensburg,
Right on.
I've visited the Historical Society, and there's a couple others, a new small business.
The Downtown Greensburg Project.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of people throwing a lot of money to try to reinvigorate the city. So if that can happen, I think it would be good. But
Yeah.
And I remember I was listening to the episode we had the Reverend Dashier on here.
Right,
And, man, he's a fucking trip. But
He really is.
You know, him saying
Mr.
that,
Rocket,
yes, sir.
longtime friend.
Yeah.
You know, how he was saying that, you know, the Greensburg, you know, not just the business community, but also the art community is making a huge comeback in this area. And it's more of an art town now, too.
Yeah.
And I think Seton Hill's a good bit to do with that.
Seton Hill's throwing a ton of money at the city, but for some reason the city is still fighting it. It does not make sense to me why they're not embracing it and just allowing this to become the college town it's going to end up being. So
It will. It will eventually.
Yep.
And I mean, there was another company my friend turned me on to, or like a Facebook page, and he was like, "Do you know who these guys are and like what the fuck they're doing?" And I think they're called Steel City News or something like that. They have a ton of neither was I. They have
I've heard that name, but I've not researched it at all.
Yeah, it's I think they're a local place or entity of some sort. Yeah. They have a Facebook page. They have a ton of followers. And it's literally a news show where the guy like stands in front of a green screen and he like reports some news. Well, they submitted a video of Greensburg to be completely redone by HGTV. Like HGTV is trying to take over a small town,
Right.
and like rebuild buildings that are falling apart and stuff like that.
Right.
And I'm like watching this and I'm thinking in my mind, like, man, like, did you guys do the fucking math on this? Because this is going to be very expensive. But I mean, it's a thing, and Greensburg's in the running. And I think that is like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
You know, that there's an awesome building right down by DV8. And it's got like, I'm sure you guys know, it's got the nice, cool spiral iron staircase that goes up on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
The fire escape. And then, you know, on the bottom, it's got that like corner that is all glass. And it's just like, that could be like the coolest bar on the planet. You put some of those garage doors in there that flip up. Dude, you're talking the south side immediately. That's exactly what that is. And it would be awesome, but that building has been vacant for 30 years, I found out.
Right.
And that's a shame.
Yeah.
Because it's so beautiful, and like if they could do something to kind of keep the historical vibe of it intact, but modernize it enough that it's not going to fucking kill somebody, then that's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the way the design trends are going anyways, where it's, you know, you want to keep the heritage of and the overall vibe of that building, but you also want to bring it back to life and resurrect it as much as you can, but keep that overall vibe. You know, throw some cool LED lighting up there, and, you know.
They'll burn out, though. They got a shelf life there.
Someone finally took over the building on the corner of Main and Pittsburgh Street. That was an old bank. I always wanted to buy that building and turn it into a loft with yes, I see that there's been trucks parked in front of it. I'm not sure what's going in there, but
that's the one that's by First Commonwealth, right? Up by the courthouse,
opposite side of Pittsburgh Street. When you make the right, it's on your left hand side.
Okay,
Yeah, it's. I think I read an article about that. I believe that it is some kind of incubator space. I don't know who bought it. At one point, there were a lot of names being thrown out, and a lot of companies. Like these people are from like fucking California or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like, you know, with more businesses coming into the area, and then like everyone kind of getting excited about like business again,
Yeah.
then, I think it's just like, I mean, you guys have weathered the storm. I think you guys have done a great job of like, keeping all of your customers happy, but
Most
of them, right?
can't make everybody.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. But you guys have made it through the toughest part of it. And I think that, there's a lot to say for, a business that can do that and the other established businesses around here in town. But I think it's cool to see, these new businesses coming in, and then the whole mindset is to shop local, shop small. So, you guys can finally like kind of sit back and take a breath and be like, fuck, that was tough. But, we made it through, and you guys are, like I said, one of the most well-known businesses in this whole entire area.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm kind of starting to relate Greensburg a little bit to Venice, California, where it's, it's starting to get to that, or like Portland. I don't know. It's just kind of starting to, I don't know, to me at least. Maybe my opinion doesn't fucking matter. I don't know.
Can we get some like chicks in bikinis walking down the main street or something like that?
On rollerblades.
Yeah,
On rollerblades?
Watch for the potholes.
Yeah, seriously.
And they're even on the sidewalk too.
Nah, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, there's definitely kind of like an influx of like the younger generation who really is kind of making this happen, kind of forcing the hand of this old boys group that won't let it be what it is just going to end up being, like you said.
Say the biggest thing that I think Greensburg is lacking is you either have college housing, the other housing, but there's nothing bringing anybody into the town that wants kind of like a loft style apartment that they're the top or the penthouse, or that it's just there's very little housing and there's very little parking because everything's reserved at this point. So those are two big things that are holding it back. Yeah,
there are. I don't know if you know the in that new building with the white elephant there that Suzanne Ward built. There are some pretty nice loft apartments up top.
I was not aware.
On Pennsylvania Avenue. They're pretty ritzy. They're very, very fucking nice.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job on that building, and exactly what you're talking about. That's what's up there. And, they did these nice treatment to the outside with the iron
clad rod or iron.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And, the building on the inside is absolutely gorgeous. Everything is super modernized. The apartments, either whichever way you're looking out or whatever, but, some of them have a view of Pennsylvania Avenue right out there. And that's kind of awesome because it's like hopping. And then these windows are floor to ceiling. So it's like you've got the courthouse right there, staring at you. You can, it's
anybody
it's
needs
awesome.
some nice motorized shades is listening. We got
there. You go. Yep.
That's
You're gonna have
we
to.
very rarely touched on. Yeah, no.
Yeah, we did not talk about shading.
Yeah, no. That's all. That's a small piece of the home automation thing is smart shades. Like they all go down at the same time. They're voice controllable. They integrate to just about anything we offer at that point, as far as touch panels and things like that. So it's cool. It's one of those things to where, they can be directionally tuned as well. So they do go up and down, correct me if I'm wrong. They go up and down based on time of day and where the sun's positioned.
I was going to add that, but I didn't want to cut you off.
Fine.
The beauty of it is everyone wanting to go green and energy efficient. So you can have your shades come down as the sun comes up, and you can have your shades go up as the sun comes down to kind of allow heat or cold in and out based upon time of year and what you're looking to do. Either keep the heat in or the cool in.
That's awesome. That's really neat. The American Eagle building down there in the south side, it was all automatic shades and stuff like that. And that was like one of the coolest things. You just kind of like walk over and like hit a button, and, everyone, if you were lucky enough to like have an office with a window, or even an office, you had the controls right there, and, it was real nice to be able to operate that stuff. And there was a studio that I worked at in LA last year. We went out there to shoot some stuff, and that whole entire studio was automated. There was the temperature, the lights, not like the video lights, but like the house lights.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the shades and everything like that, because it was glass the entire way around.
Right.
And I mean, that was just like, that was my first, I think, experience with like really everything in the whole place kind of being automated. And I was like, yo, this is like, of course I'm in like fucking LA. So yeah, it's like that.
Naturally.
But I mean, just the fact that like, you know, if you had the budget to deck it out and like really go for it,
Yeah.
that, you know, you could do it. You could do it here in Greensburg. You could do
Absolutely.
it in Latrobe or whatever.
Pittsburgh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the way that we want to do it, you know, is bringing those West Coast kind of things, you know, the automation and all that stuff. You know, we want to bring it to this area and say, listen, this is the shit they're doing over there and have been doing over there since it came out. And we want to, you know, really have people experience that over here.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Well, we just touched our hour. You guys were worried that you didn't have enough to talk about. We had plenty to talk about. But why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? Marketing man, let's get it on. Go for it.
All right, man. You can find the Stereoshop 201 East Pittsburgh Street. That is here in Greensburg, PA. And phone number is 724-834-2074. Call us if you need TV, shades, home automation, basically anything. We'll tell you if we can or can't do it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. I had a blast with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it, man.